Hi guys, welcome to my channel. In today's video I'm going to show you how to draft a skirt pattern. If this is what you like to watch, keep on watching. And if you are new to my channel, you are welcome. Please consider subscribing to the channel to join the family. Without further ado, let's get started. So these are the material that I'm going to be using to draft out this skirt pattern. And you will also be needing the following measurement: your skirt length, your waist to hip measurement, your waist circumference, hip circumference, and nipple to nipple measurement. So I've gone ahead and draw an horizontal line here, which is going to serve as my starting line and also my waistline. Then I'm going to draw a straight line here, which will become my center front line. So here is my center front line, and also here is my waistline. So I'm just labeling them. So the next thing we are going to do is to mark how long we want our skirt length to be. I want mine to be 21 inches. So I'm going to mark 21 inches here, and at the other end I'll also mark that same 21 inches. Then I'll extend my markings with a ruler to form a straight line there. So after marking your skirt length, the next thing to do is to mark our waist to hip measurement. And the waist to hip measurement we are working with is 8 inches. So I'm going to mark 8 inches. From my waist, I'll measure down 8 inches and mark it there. And I also mark it at the edge and also extend the line. So this is my waistline here. Now that is done, the next thing is to input our waist circumference. So on the waistline here, the waist I'm working with is 32 inches. So 32 divided by 4, I have 8 inches plus 0.25 for ease. So I'm going to mark 8.25 here. Then after that, I will mark 1 inch for my dart intake here. Next, I'll come over to my hip line and divide my hip circumference by 4. The hip I'm working with is 40 inches, so I'm going to divide it by 4. I have 10. I'm going to mark the 10 there. Then I'm not going to add that because the dart does not get to the hip. Next, whatever we have there, whatever we mark on our hip line, we are going to mark it on our skirt length. I'm going to minus 1 inches and mark it on our skirt length. Okay, this depends on how pencil you want your skirt to be. You can do 1.5, 2 inches, 2.5, or even 3 inches. It all depends on you. It's optional. And once you are done marking all those points together, just go ahead and connect them together. Ensure you eliminate all sharp points because you don't want to have sharp points in your skirt. Okay? Now the next thing we are going to do now is to mark our darts, our waist dart. So from the center front there, we are going to mark our waist dart, and we need our nipple to nipple measurement to do that. So the nipple to nipple measurement I'm working with today is 8 inches. So when I divide 8 by 2, I have 4 inches. I'm marking 4 inches there. And on that 4-inch point, I'm going to mark 0.5 inches on both sides because we added 1 inch for our dart. And from that 4 inches we mark there, we are going to mark our dart length, which is 4 inches for the front skirt. And that 4 inches, I'm trying to get a straight line there. So when I'm ensured that my lines are straight, I'm going to connect it with a straight line. Then after connecting it with a straight line, the next thing I'm going to do is to connect those 0.5 inches together to form my dart shape. Okay? So from this skirt length, I'm going to mark 1 inch for my hemming allowance. I'll mark the 1 inch here, and I'll also mark it here. Then I'll connect all my markings with a straight line. Then the next thing I'm going to do is to measure what I have on the skirt length. Then I'll add 1/2 inch sheet there. I'll mark whatever I have on my hemming allowance. Then I'll connect the marking. The reason is to avoid shortage of fabric when folding your fabric. Now on this center waistline, I'm going to be going down by 0.5 inches, and I will connect it to meet my side waistline with a curve or straight ruler, anyone you have. So the next thing I went ahead to do was to mark 1 inch at the side for my sewing allowance. Then I'm going to cut it out now. Then after cutting it out, I'm going to use this same front pattern to cut the back pattern. Now I'm drafting the back pattern. So I have my pattern paper here, and I'm going ahead to mark 1.5 inches, which will serve as my zip allowance. Then after marking the zip allowance, next thing is to place the front pattern on the back pattern after the zip allowance. Then you are going to trace out everything. That is the front. We are going to trace it out to the back and cut it out. So note that the front and the back are the same thing. The only difference is that zipper allowance and the dart. The front dart is longer than the back dart. So that is the only difference there. Then after that, extend the hip line. Extend that hip line to meet your zip allowance. Then take out your front pattern paper. After taking out your front pattern paper, next thing is to mark the dart. So the front and the back dart are the same thing. The only difference is the length of the back dart. The length of the back dart is 5 inches. That is 1 inch longer. So we are going to repeat the same thing we did at the front. We are going to mark the same dart except the length. The length will be 5 inches longer. So after marking the dart now, next thing is to adjust the zipper allowance. So from that hip line, I'm going to extend it and mark 1.5 inches there. Then from there, I'll mark 5 inches. From that 5 inch point, I mark 1 inch down to the skirt length. Then from there, I'm going to mark 1 inch at the waistline. Then after marking all the points, I'm going to connect all the points together. And after that, I'm going to cut out this pattern. And we are done with this skirt pattern. So guys, that is all for this video, and I hope you learn 1 or 2 things from it. If you do, give this video a thumbs up, share it to your family and friends who need it, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye for now.